Hello everybody, my name is Brooke Kirk. I recently graduated from high school. Thank goodness that is over. But throughout my journey, I had a shocking uncovery and realization that I would like to share with you all today. See, I went into high school very wide-eyed. I had seen Gilmore Girls. I knew I was destined to be either a Paris or a Rory. I was very ambitious and overly ready to change the world. I was quickly confronted with some harsh realities about high school, but nothing seemed to prepare me more for what actually ended up affecting me the most, which was girl-on-girl crime. Now, I don't mean in the gossipy Regina George kind of way. That I was prepared for. I had seen the movies and the TV shows. But instead, I mean in an academic success kind of way. In the, I'm getting into a top school and you are not kind of way. In the, I'm going to be successful and I don't care who it disrupts in the way. The most specific examples I can recall came in the most hypocritical forms. I remember this one girl who was very involved in our student body council, always busy, very involved in our school, and she actively campaigned against another girl who was also running for a different position in student body council and told everybody to vote for the male candidate instead because it would simply be too much for this girl to handle on her plate. I remember another example. Most ironically, the president of our female empowerment club would always sit and eat lunch with this boy. I'm going to try and paint you all a picture of this boy. He was not directly sexist. In fact, he was a self-proclaimed women lover, whatever that is supposed to mean. He was constantly talking about how he loved women, respected women. He was well loved in our community, he was an athlete, and very well respected in our classrooms. But if you listened closely enough outside of the walls of our classroom, you could hear him and his friends rating the hotness of girls as they walked by, or subtly implying that he would never want to marry a woman who had any career aspirations. So, our club president would go from talking to us all and sitting at the table with us all at these meetings about how important it is to uplift women. And then she would turn around and go sit with this boy and boys like him. And as a member of the club, this baffled me, but I was really focused on actually doing something with this club. So I decided to organize a drive. I thought even if I had graduated to doing more statewide or even national activism, if I could not contribute to changing this community that I had, this very small community, then what could I do? So I set out to organize this drive. It became kind of difficult because once accolades could not be put on college applications or mentioned in scholarship interviews, it became very difficult to track down the president of this organization. She was frequently off on college tours or was just too busy to attend most of our meetings. So I took it upon myself, I filled out the paperwork, I stayed up till 1 a.m. making these boxes. The drive was Valentine's Day themed, so I decorated them in red and pink hearts. I went to every classroom and talked about this drive that we were hosting, and it was a success. And I was so excited, and I was even more excited when I found out that they were going to be doing an article about it in our school newspaper. I remember I was sitting in 6th period when they delivered the newspapers to our class, and I grabbed one and I ran back to my seat. I had a huge smile on my face, and I opened it up and I looked down and my smile just fades. There is a giant image there with the president holding the boxes and all of the materials collected, and it was an article filled with quotes about how she had organized this drive. Initially, I was upset. I thought, you at least have to attend more than one meeting to consider yourself involved in this, but I really did not want to take away from the work that we had done. This was exceptional. It was a success, and the work should be focused on the activism. But it did really make me think, where does this come from? how can we expect our culture and for society to change if even the most passionate women among us can be still traitors to their own gender? Now, before I get too into this, I do just want to lay out there that I'm not blaming these women. I'm not mad at them either. It is such a societal norm. And I'm also not blaming the patriarchy or any kind of misogyny on these women. I mean, to do that would be hypocritical. But regardless, I began to reflect. I started recalling these experiences and just generalized phrases that I heard throughout my life, whether it was given to me by parents or teachers, mentors, coaches, siblings, and I was horrified by the experiences that I could recall. I remember the most specific example to me was when I made the fatal mistake at 11 years old to wear leggings to school. Not even halfway through the day, I was called into a meeting with 4 of my female teachers, and I was told a couple of things. One, I was dressed highly inappropriately. I was attention seeking for wearing leggings. 2, that I was so focused on attention seeking that I had slipped in my academics because I had gotten my first and only ever C on a science test according to my science teacher. And then I was given a poem that details how no man would ever want a woman who had dressed provocatively and already given herself away visually. I was then handed a karate gi, which was the supreme punishment of being dress coded at my school. You had to wear a karate gi for the rest of the day. And I walked out of that meeting sobbing. If you want a visual, kind of what I looked like, it was kind of like that. But I was very upset, and it really made me continue to think. And I'm just wondering, who else here has been belittled, shut down, or even simply just wrongfully dress coded by another woman? Yeah, why is this such a common thing? And then I would continue to think, and I wanted to hear other women experiences. So I went and I asked other women. And I recently had dinner with a friend of mine and her mom, and her mom gave me an experience that I feel like really encompasses this and also gave me perspective because I only have my high school experience thus far. She told a story about when she was working as a lobbyist. She said that there was a small portion of funds for government healthcare, and within that an even smaller portion for specifically women's healthcare. And within that, there was a minuscule fund with one minor wording that discussed some funds allocated for low-income women in need of abortions. So this lobbyist went to a mid-level politician at this time, and she asked her, is this going to remain? It's been here for so long, it's really small, is it going to remain? And the mid-level female politician said, of course, this is going to remain. It won't be an issue. This mid-level politician then went on to take this one-liner wordage and make her entire campaign about the removal of these funds. She actually then went on to become a very high-level politician off of the basis of these campaigns that she had made against this. I think that this idea comes from the idea that society has, that men and women have created, that throughout all of this progress that we have made as human beings in history, we have come to a place where there is now a seat at the table. Not the table is open for seating, not seats plural. There is one seat open at the table for women. This breeds intense competition. I mean, women are already pitted against each other in society, in film and television, and all of these things to compete for things like attention, unfortunately, specifically the attention of men. This breeds an even more intense competition when only one person can succeed. It also teaches us that in order to succeed, we must step on the backs of other women in order to get where we want to go. This is a very dangerous idea, and it is one that is a very negative reality. But I'm happy to say that there is hope, there is good news. We know that it is possible to succeed and bring other women up with us. My favorite example, specifically right now, if anybody else has been watching nearly as much Olympic gymnastics as I have, is Simone Biles and Chiles. See, even though this isn't a scenario where we're specifically talking about one seat at the table because the women's gymnastics team is all women, specifically for minorities and minority women, this is even more of the case, this idea of a singular seat. So that comes into play. And then also with the idea that it is sports and competition at an Olympic level, things get very complex. Only one person can ultimately win the gold. But regardless, if you're not familiar with this story, Chiles was ready to quit. She had been emotionally abused, controlled, and demeaned by her coaches for years, and she no longer wanted to complete her career as a gymnast. Simone Biles not only talked her into continuing her career, but actually took her out to her gym in Spring, Texas, and trained and uplifted her to where she was eventually on the U.S. Olympic team for gymnastics this year. This is what we need to see. We need to see other women moving forward with each other and bringing each other up. To start though, each of us need to take a look at our role. I mean, I had to think back on all the times where I was the one that might have been demeaning women or belittling women or subconsciously letting my internalized misogyny get the best of me. I had to think about the times where I was the cutthroat academic one, and when I saw the seat at the table, I was the one who wanted it. And that's okay, because that is a normalized thing. But we have to take that idea, reflect on it, accept that it is a negative reality, and agree that we are going to change it. We have to know that we need to give voice to other women. We need to bring their voices up with us. Specifically, if you are a white or able-bodied woman, you need to know the power that you have in those situations and help bring up the voices of other minority women out there. We need to know that the success of one does not mean the failure of our own, and that empowering women does not come from selfishness, but instead selflessness. This is Celine Kinder. By just empowering ourselves or focusing on how we can personally gain, we do not empower women as a whole, nor does the idea of the singular seat go away. And the idea of the singular seat is bad and needs to be taken away for multiple reasons. And it's not just once because it'll benefit us or benefit our daughters or granddaughters to come. Research has shown that women in executive roles in companies, the companies are more profitable, more socially responsible, and provide safer, more high-quality customer experiences. So, empower others. As we move forward and as we continue to grow, become the teacher that women remember as one who encouraged instead of stifled. Become the coach that inspired instead of demeaned. Become the parent who empowered instead of disempowered. And whether it's navigating the craziness of high school or college or the complexities of the workplace, please remember and take with you that every woman is your sister. Treat her accordingly. Thank you all so much.